you were merely stating why you didn't believe that there would be a code conflict because over here it was that way and over there it was that way and you're just in between.
Basically because of the maintenance reliability of the chain link fence. And for me, what we did with the chain link part of the fence was we built the bones of the fence. But the inserts we put it in are really what attracts the eye and what is there. You know, I'm wearing bones underneath me, but we don't see that because of my pen. I honestly thought, and like I said, I never would have gone for a chain link fence before I saw that stuff, because I never liked the look of it. But I've never run across a fence that works as well, or as strong, or as maintenance free as that. So the only thing I ever could say against the chain link fence was that they're ugly. But once if you can do away with that, I thought, well, hey, they finally did it.
Hence, this is what we look at every day since the 1960s. This is what we look at. And we are a designated place.
Now,
And we have it on this side and this side. Now, I never dreamt that, or I guess I misunderstood when we looked at things, but in our backyard, which is not visible from the street, I thought we could put up a fence that was to our needs. And, I understand now that we were mistaken in that, but at the time, I did not.
so you just said that fence has been there for 50 years?
This fence doesn't belong to us.
I know, but you
But
said you've been looking at it since the 1960s?
Well, it probably.
Well, it's whenever the place was built, but this is we can't control what
I
our
would guess
neighbors
at
are doing.
least,
Well, what I'm getting at is the question of whether that fence was there before the code was.
adopted.
The house was built, or this fourplex was built, we'd have to
I
look it up.
understand it because it's a
built-
commercial building.
Yeah, and it was before I understood that it was before the historic district came into play.
That's probably true, and in the McLaughlin district, if a structure is not designated, then the fence policy is not applicable.
And so
chain
we
link
as a
is
designated,
permitted.
Okay,
so we as a designated, we have to look at this, and we have to look at the other side, but we have to comply with code rules that they don't have to comply with. And I mean, it's difficult. I mean, this is butt ugly. This one here is from in our backyard, what we have to look at to the north.
same
I mean,
thing.
it's
Yep.
all that fence, and there's slats, and so we were compliant. We thought, well, I got cyclone here, we got cyclone here. We extended across the back, but the neighbor in the back, his first question to me when I was out in the yard, and he said, "Oh, I see you put up a fence," and I says, "Yes," and he said, "Well, what about my privacy?" Well, first of all, I never realized that I was responsible for his privacy. He bought a house that was down below. But, we try to be good neighbors. And so I told him, I says, we already have these, I said, we're gonna be doing that, but, we just completed the fence. It's the beginning of winter. We're waiting for the weather to be good, and we'll finish this up. We're old. I mean, I'm 65. My brother is 75. We've got two brothers in between. But, and as it takes a long time, we had to have dry weather to do that. So we got them all completed by what...
In the interest of moving along, I think we have a pretty clear picture. Do the other commissioners have any questions of the applicant? No. Okay.
Can I request that the pictures that you have there, that I get a copy of those for the record, please?
Yeah, you can have these.
Thanks.
Here, this one.
Thank you so much.
Well, I think they have those.
Okay, so I'll let you return to your seats and ask if there
Take
are,
this with you? While you're-
yeah,
Yeah, yep.
yeah. Ask if there are any comments from the public. I guess that would be you.
I'm not here for to
Okay.
testify at all.
Okay.
I'm observing. The McLaughlin
Okay.
group has submitted their comments, whatever they are.
Right,
Yes,
the letter.
you're looking at the letter?
Oh, God, this thing is, I read it earlier, here, in the public comments.
Yeah. I want to take a look at that letter. I see us in a difficult position here, but, there we
Nope, that's Bob Light. And here we go.
Yeah. Okay. That's the McLaughlin recommendation, which is consistent with one of the options that staff recommended.
Right,
With that, we will close the public testimony portion and move to deliberation, and with the comment that I hate to find ourselves in this position, because I understand completely why you did what you did. And we have a city code that says you shouldn't have done that and somehow should have known that when confronted with neighbors that say this must be okay because nobody's saying anything about that. So I understand all of that, and what I would like to find is a way that doesn't punish you for having made what I think probably was a very rational decision, even if not correct. And I am open to suggestion.
I actually, spoke with, and I don't, should I say his name? He's
A
our-
person, a citizen.
A citizen, yeah. An architect, actually. And he had suggested that maybe putting, you know, you have the cross pieces, you know, from the poles on the top and the bottom of the horizontal members, you know, of the fence, is to put like a 2x4 or whatever on top of it, and, you know, somehow attach it, and then put the slats. He made a kind of a diagram. I don't know if you, to
Yes.
then have the vertical slats attach onto that, so that and doing that on the outside. And I drove around twice, very, you know, looking, and you really, I don't think can see it very much from that's on Jefferson, so what? John Adams, yeah, from the back, but on the sides and on the front, you know, maybe doing that so that it at least, which is kind of what the M&A are suggesting also, to kind of camouflage it from the outside.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent with the staff recommendations, I think, what you're describing.
Well, I wasn't sure how they were, you know, attaching it, if it was gonna be a separate fence all into itself, which to me, I think would cost, you know, have a larger cost to it. But if it's a solid fence, which which I'm sure the chain link fence is probably, you know, pretty solidly installed, to do that on the outside, on the exterior of the fence as opposed to the interior.
Yeah, I'm very sympathetic to the financial burden and understand the desire for the fence for security and the reasons listed. But I don't think we can just allow it to remain based on, ignorance of the policies.
Yeah, because it sets a precedent.
Yeah.
Is there any funding through the grants that, I don't know if this would fall under the guide, the parameters of what the grant money can be used for?
I don't think there's a precedent for using the grant funding for any type of fencing. That being said, the board, it's your grant program.
Do we have funds still?
We have, any grants would be in the new fiscal year. So
Right.
yes, we
Right.
do. We have a whole fiscal year's worth.
Okay.
I think we awarded one grant
The
last
last-
meeting
right.
that would fall into that. So it might be a little under 5,000 at the moment, but yes, there's funding. But the board would have to, decide that that's a authorized project,
Yeah.
for that grant funding.
I just thought I'd ask, as far as helping them.
Yeah.
I know it's a matching, right?
It is.
So-
One other option that I thought about was trying to utilize landscaping on either side of the house that would block the view. However, it's of course going to start out small. And it would take a while probably before any landscaping would be mature enough, like a large shrub that would, obscure the
Obscure
view.
that. But is there room and as far as access, in and out, I'm not sure what, the,
Right.
I mean, I have empathy too with that, but
Am I correct that there was a code complaint filed by a citizen on this?
That is how this was initiated, right?
And the complainant was correct that the fence is not compliant with code, so we owe a certain measure of respect to that as well, to the complainant as well as the code itself.
well, and I don't, we didn't know this was in the offing, when we made our decision as far as, when we revisited the fences and walls policies and stuff, so.
No, and it wouldn't have been appropriate to take it into consideration.
Well, and
in a
that's what I'm just saying is
specific
that,
case. Yeah.
we didn't know this was coming up when we, and that's been a pretty consistent policy. I think we just kind of reemphasized and, it's always been on the not approved list, so.
What kind of a lenient time frame are we allowed to grant for compliance?
That's up to you. I mean, we've done.
This is uncharted waters.
So when there's, when staff, for other code enforcement cases, we staff sends letters notifying folks of a code violation. And I think we typically use like a 30-day, you must respond by, and then we work with them to come up with a compliance plan. I think, and that compliance plan can have a timeline to it. I think the board has a lot of flexibility in the time frame in this case.
And if through hardship, it becomes not feasible to bring it from where it is into compliance, what happens?
Well, in general, in the code enforcement case, if people either don't respond or don't meet their compliance plan, then that's when it gets turned over to the code enforcement department, who schedules a court date, and then it's dealt with through municipal court, and the judge can assess fines.
Yeah, that's like sending people to debtor's prison.
I have a question. Should we discuss whether the entire fence needs to be camouflaged? And to me, it looks like, when you drive by, it kind of looks almost like a camouflage, fence. But by camouflage, I mean by covering up the, what's there now with wood, on the exterior.
Plastic slats.
Yeah, but can we, is it required that we do the entire perimeter, of the existing fence now? Or,
Well, in my opinion, the staff conditions are the maximally lenient, and that it's the two exposed sides that are an issue, and then the side against the fourplex where kind of some of the existing chain link are not covered by that, which is a little bit of an exception, but kind of makes sense given the
I thought
situation.
that entire north side was covered.
I only see sides A and B.
So the
North
condition,
side, we don't, is the fence, belongs to the.
I think what the applicant said is that this section of fence here, can you guys see my mouse there?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this section of fence actually is not the hedge fence. It's the slat fence belonging to the neighboring
Oh, the
property.
red,
Right.
okay.
And so the condition of approval would be to cover the street, like the back side of this portion, facing John Adams Street, and then to cover this little section here, and then this area here, facing Jefferson.
Good.
So my kind of thought is that that's fair and reasonable. If they want to do the entire thing, then,
I don't think,
I
probably don't want to, but
right.
to me, so along the south side and then the A and the AC, just those areas that you can see from
Yes.
Jefferson and from, was it Sixth? No,
This
yeah,
is,
it'd be Sixth.
this is 9th, right?
Oh, that's not, so Eighth, excuse me. Knocked out a few blocks in there.
So,
Are you looking at the recommendation?
yeah.
It's usually at the,
I'm just trying to get to the page that I'm seeing over there, so I don't have to look over Grant's shoulder. Where did you find that?
Oh, it's at the top, page 2.
I
dash,
cruised right by it.
stat, what, oh,
There. Oh,
No, that is not
that's the
right.
wrong application.
here,
I'm on
the applicant
never
shall
mind.
work with staff, is that the one that you're looking at?
No, what I'm looking at here is the wrong agenda item. This is the first one.
Oh,
There. Now, I'll get it. I'm having a computer malfunction. There. That's where I wanted to be.
no, it's basically the same as
I
this
think I
one.
would like to give the applicant the option of choosing between A and B.
Well,
And
they are both,
Well, they're not either or, because one
Yeah,
is,
they're-
one's addressing
That's-
A and C, and one is addressing B.
Right.
Oh, I misunderstood that. You are correct. That makes more sense.
And as far as number 2, I know we have a 6 foot, if it's,
So that's, I assume the fence is less than that, so I assume that's the material that's above.
above, yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's a global code item
Yeah,
Right,
outside of, I mean, beyond
everything.
historic review board anyway, so.
Yeah, they can't be over 6 foot, yeah.
from staff, how much latitude do you have in time frame to comply? I mean, you said normally you think 30 days, but
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the time we ask people to respond,
yes.
to an initial code enforcement letter. I'll give you an example of an item that went before Planning Commission earlier this year regarding work within the floodplain and the natural resource overlay that was unpermitted. The Planning Commission gave 6 months for compliance. I think if the board wanted to allow in that time frame or even a little bit longer, I think would be appropriate. I mean,
Okay.
this isn't it's not a safety issue, a life and safety
Right.
issue. So I think that you have a lot of flexibility there.
Well, and that's what I was kind of thinking was the 6 months, because hopefully you do it within 6 months, because otherwise you're into the the winter time, so it's something that,
Okay, I think that's the direction that we need to go then. If we could have a motion to that effect.
what, for the time frame? Are we taking it
To add
each
that-
as,
To add that to the conditions.
so, okay, I move that we add a 6-month period of time to bring it into compliance as condition number 3 or C, 1C. Which would be preferred? A
It doesn't
1C or a 3? Oh,
We can add it to number 1.
okay. so
Or actually, if you wanted to apply to both conditions, then we
Oh,
can,
Just
it
do
should
it
just
as
be
a
number
3.
3, yeah.
So moved as number
Okay.
3 condition.
Okay. So you've moved that we approve the staff recommendation with the conditions of approval in addition to the 6-month timeframe.
No, because I'm still not convinced about B.
Okay,
So I'd like a little bit more discussion on that.
okay.
As
Tell
far
me,
as,
tell me what
well,
you're thinking.
it's pretty hard to see from, and I'm not, it's pretty hard to see from John Adams. And just knowing, that they're seniors and, and I know that we're
Yes.
giving them, the time frame, but not knowing their, situation. But I don't know if, again, that would be setting a precedent, because, we don't want chain link in there. It's, I don't know.
So the new public new public comment letter
The new one?
is
Oh,
from the property owners of the property on John Adams' side.
Oh, I didn't.
There's a document.
See that. Oh,
It's not
additional,
in this one, there's a separate that's new at the very. it's the very
additional
bottom.
narrative, is that the one?
It's the bottom, new public comment is the title of it.
Oh,
So you can scroll down here.
The last two attachments
please.
under this item.
thank you.
Oh, way down.
There we are.
And so that's the property owners, and they're opposed to the chain link fence, but have offered to split the cost potentially, or material cost of a wood
Is
fence.
that under communications? Here, let me just,
Yeah, so go to the item that we're on still. You're
I
kind of way
think-
down on the agenda.
chain link, okay.
Pick that. And that.
It's not, mine isn't, it's, you have to use the mouse.
Scroll down to the, no, not that one.
Oops,
Go back, close that.
sorry. Documents, okay.
And hit the scroll down
Yep,
button there.
New public comment. Thank you.
These computer things. View document.
Yeah, there we go.
So the neighbor who has the most direct interest in this wants to see a wood fence. I think that applying the wood facing to the existing structure is a more practical approach than to remove
Tear it
it
out. Oh, yeah.
and
Happy to discuss
start
when
from
the council meets.
scratch, which seems to be what this property owner would prefer.
Oh,
So-
well, that, to me, that puts a
That's not easily dismissed.
different light on, because that was one of my questions, that I didn't, that I was asking myself was, what did that neighbor think on that side? Because that's really the biggest exposure to them particularly. And can we ask if they, if the Owens, Nagger, do they know about this letter?
I'm not sure. They were copied on the revised agenda with the new attachments. And I may have forwarded the comment directly to them as well, but I can't recall.
Okay, so this was just yesterday. Okay.
Yes, we.
If
You
you're
need to
gonna
come up.
comment, could you
Sorry.
please come up?
I think you might need to reopen the public
We do
hearing.
need to
Reopen
reopen
the public.
testimony, yes. So opened,
Can I introduce myself one more time?
please.
Just your name.
Wade Owens.
Okay.
I think you asked the question whether we knew about that comment, and we just found out this evening. These neighbors had been gone for the entire time it was posted out there until, I guess, maybe back 2 or 3 days ago, or at the most. And I had gone down, because they were directly affected by it, I had gone down and I saw that they were home, they were on vacation before that. And explained to them that they could probably still get a comment in, probably cut my own throat on that one, that's the thing. But it's a little odd because they're the ones that were concerned about privacy. And I explained to them, again, if we have to start over, I don't really care that much if we have a fence. So we just may leave it without a fence. So, and then they lose their entire privacy. So it seems like a strange thing. It's kind of like sometimes you don't really want what you wish for. But they have a right to their opinion.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? It's somewhat relevant, but the guy on the south side, 809 there, up there, we built our fence along his side. There's a small retaining wall on our side, it kind of goes up as it goes back toward the back. And I dropped it all the way, and the previous fence had been on the retaining wall. I dropped it behind it on our side, but I put it up high enough so that his dogs would be fenced in, so he didn't have to buy to build another fence up there. And he's the one with the chain link fence on the back of his property that's covered in ivy right now. He's hard to see. But since he is not under the same constraints that we are, we had toyed with the idea, if we have to give this thing up, to just give him the materials and let him put posts in and move the thing from our property to his property. Now, can he do that?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's not that property's not designated.
The one on the
Oh,
north
the-
side, I thought you were talking about the
It's
guy.
809.
South side.
South side.
809.
Okay, I was thinking the other side, the designated property, but
Right,
So this property at 809 could use that material.
So, I didn't hear all that. He is constrained anyway. That doesn't make any difference.
No,
Yeah.
she's saying no. I mean, there was a confusion between, were you talking about south side or north side? You were talking about the south side.
South side.
okay.
adjacent to 809,
809,
Yes,
yeah.
809.
Right here.
which is a designated, or
It's
it's
not.
not, that's right, it is not.
I believe he probably sent a
Well-
comment in.
Go back to deliberation.
Well, and
Okay.
the picture, I just have another question. The picture that was sent with the letter shows none of the, I mean, it's just a bare naked,
Right.
chain link fence. But
It
back
does.
there, I mean, I saw, so there is the fake shrubbery thing in
Yes.
that, at this point, okay.
All of it's covered, including the top rail. There is no bottom rail. It's just a airplane wire.
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all righty, so.
Okay,
let's go
we'll
back to-
reclose the public testimony and resume deliberation. I think, Grant, you had something?
Yeah, I guess given the public comments, given the policies, I don't think that there's a great deal of latitude that we can do here. I think that the staff's comments give them the maximum flexibility to find an economical way to resolve it, potentially leaving the posts in and things, but anything more lenient than what the staff's recommended, I don't think that we can allow within the bounds of,
Right.
what we can do, so.
I'm sorry, I did just realize something, based on a comment from the applicant. Another solution, would be no fence, right? And so the way the condition is written, in 1B, says replace the rear fence with a fence that meets the policies, but, might want to also give the option of just complete removal, as an option.
Yeah.
And I think since the application is for the fence, I don't know if we even need to add that. Because you can always get a project approved and not follow through with it.
Oh, that's true as
So-
well.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah,
True enough. And the 6-month time frame?
Yep.
Yep.
and can they and I don't know if it needs to be, needs to be in the, recommendation, but, we can advise them to check in, because it would have to come to us about if, for the grant funding, you know. Sounds like their neighbors are willing to help with the cost, so.
Right, yeah, I don't know if we
And
can,
that's not really in our purview either, so.
I don't know if we can make the grant work, but given that it's replacing a fence that was there for a long time, that was rotted, maybe they can look into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
I mean, that's something
It's
that they,
possible, but-
but then it would have to come back to us anyway, correct? Yeah. So, but I think it's having them explore it with the neighbor from the sounds of the letters, so.
Yeah.
All right, so,
So I'm looking for a motion that we can vote on.
all right, so I move to approve PC 19064 HR 1810, application for chain link hedge fence at 811 Jefferson Street with the staff's recommended conditions of approval, along with the addition of a
Number 3.
6-month time period to meet the conditions of approval.
I second it.
All right, moved and seconded.
Board Member Blythe,
Aye.
Board Member Met,
Right.
Chair Basinger.
Aye. All right.
I do have, and I don't know, I was reading through the file, and there's the historic report, that's on file, and it talks about, I believe, he worked for Burmeister, and it says Anderson. It should be Andreessen.
Andreessen.
Just, you might want to just make a correction in there.
Okay. Item 3C on the agenda is PC 19-066, Historic Review Board Policy Changes. And I would like to recommend that we continue this until we have a full board to
And I don't,
discuss and vote on this.
this isn't a quasi judicial hearing, so I don't think that we need to continue to a date certain for that one.
Okay.
But we can agree to
We're
add
trying
it to
to
the
keep
next
it on the
agenda.
same timeline so that it's,
Right.
so we can,
Right,
so we don't
Yeah.
delay it.
just to share with you the timeline, the city commission resolution is scheduled for August 7th. So that would still, if we wait until July to finalize policies, that still works. It doesn't affect the timeline. Also, we have a small amendment to chapter 1740 of our code that we are running as a legislative amendment. There are 2 sections of chapter 1740 that deal with HRB policies, and they conflict with each other. So we caught that, and we'd like to correct it along with the new policy changes. So that amendment is included in this packet. But the schedule, thank you so much. The schedule is such that the planning commission would have a hearing on July 22nd, which would be before our next meeting. And so the board wouldn't get a chance to comment on that, although, that being said, it's simply a code cleanup because of that conflicting language.
Well, I will be here for July. How about?
I'll be here for July. And we don't have to attend the meeting on August 7th, the city commission? 'Cause
No, you
I'll be-
don't.
I'll be out of town then.
You
so-
don't have to attend
okay.
that, no.
You'll represent us, I'm sure.
I will.
Well, let's wait then. Let's put this off until the July meeting and
Hopefully everyone's gonna be here.
Yeah, if not, we'll go ahead and we won't be any different than we are tonight. We can do it. But I think they ought to be here. If possible.
Yep. And the same, I think, with item 4.
You don't think we can elect them in
I think
absence?
they might be. In abstention.
I think we've done that in the past.
You don't show up.
But
you
I
can't.
agree. We should have more members here when we set out to elect a chair.
And that's something we don't need, we just need a recommendation, we really don't need a motion or anything like that.
I don't think so. If you all are okay with Ken acting as chair at the beginning of the next meeting, and yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
We've put up with it all this time.
yeah, you can put up with anything. Communications.
I would like to introduce Lydia Ness. She is going to be working with us this summer on rolling out the HRB policies and getting the word out to the community in a way that's understandable, you know, and friendly, so that we don't have, you know, unfortunate
Misunderstandings. right.
misunderstandings about what the policies are. So I'm really excited about that, and Lydia is in the Masters of Urban Regional Planning program at Portland State and formerly worked at Restore Oregon, and has immense knowledge about preservation.
Cool.
You'll
Yeah,
fit right in.
I also have my bachelor's in historic preservation,
Oh,
so I studied it in undergrad.
Oh, wow.
Great.
So,
From U,
been living and breathing it for a few
it's
years.
from U of O or?
No, I'm from Missouri originally,
Oh,
and so
okay.
there's a small state school that offers it as a degree.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Because doesn't U of O have
they do. Yeah,
a
master's program.
historic, yeah, yeah.
So we're very lucky to have Lydia.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be on board.
cool.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, in that case, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:25.
Woo-hoo.